What up, dogs? Today I'm going to show you how to paint up your winter Fallschirmjager for Bolt Action. This is done almost entirely with Army Painter speed paints. It's designed to be super quick and super fun to do, while also having a really nice striking scheme for your models on the tabletop. Our contender for today will be Commander Jerry of the Fallschirmjager. He's going to be leading one of my platoons. And there's a really nice mix of colours here. It portrays that kind of looted gear that the Fallschirmjager would arrive in a small village, ransack the snot out of it, and take whatever they could keep. Mixed together in a really kind of fun ad hoc way, all these mixes of colours make for a really fun squad that will look great on the tabletop alongside those really nice, stoically dark German vehicles. Let's get to it. So Commander Jerry is our subject for today. Here he is all zenithalled up. I started with an all-over prime of Colourforge matte black, and ended a zenithal of matte white. And as you can see on the underside, there's loads of shadows there that are going to help make the gradients for our colours, so he really stands out and looks great. We're going to start off with this, Ashen Stone from Speed Paint. I'm going to apply this to his jacket. So how I approached this army was, I set my colours up, and I'll put a little picture of all those colours here, and then I mix these across the trousers, the gloves, the hats, the pouches, so that there was a unifying set of colours on this force, but they were mixed around the different textures and the different fabrics and different bits of clobber. So the entire army is cohesive, but really interesting to look at, and a really nice diverse mix of colours for what's going to be a really nice striking army. So I'm applying this all over his jacket, and the great thing about this colour is you can be quite messy with it because the speed paints we use after this are going to go over this as if it were just primed anyway, because of how light and pale it is. It's a lovely colour, really nice. Grim Black, if you watched my US Winter Soldier video, you'll know that we did the boots in a similar step. So again, we're making sure those breaks and textures are enabling us to paint instead of put a model down, get distracted, and come back to it the next day having only applied one layer of paint. So while the jacket's drying, there's a nice break with the trousers between that and the boots. We'll paint the boots black. So while one area is drying, what can I be painting so that our colours don't bleed while they're still wet, but I can still be productive and paint my model? Up next is this Tyrian Navy. Now, I discovered this late into painting this project, and I think this would be perfect for jackets and helmets for any kind of generic German force for Bolt Action. I'm using it on a cap here. You'll see in the army shots I've done a few helmets with it, and I think it's a really nice speed paint equivalent to that kind of dark, really dark navy blue German black colour we see across elements of their uniform. But for now, we're just going to do it on this chap's cap. Up next, we've got our Highland blue, and this is what we're going to do on the trousers. Now, this is really bright, and it's on the box art for the Fallschirmjager box. And I know it's probably not quite historically accurate and is a little bit too vibrant, maybe a bit cartoony for what we're painting in terms of historical accuracy. However, German uniforms were notoriously ad hoc. Nothing was the same colour. One grey to another grey were completely different shades. So I think for the purposes of having a striking army on the tabletop, we'll let this one pass. If you want to swap this one out, just use that Tyrian Navy we did in the last step, and I think you'll get a much more kind of accurate and darker blue that isn't going to be so garish. But again, for the purposes of this, for the compromise of speed to quality, and emphasis on completion, not perfection, I think this is a great colour, and it goes on absolutely beautifully as well. Ola, my old friend, Pallid Bone. This is an absolute hero paint. We're going to apply this to his pouches and anything we're going to do in a tricolour camouflage pattern. So for my commanders and characters and NCOs, I apply a little bit more of this scheme to their pouches or maybe their jacket or bits of their clobber, just so that I can help to distinguish them on the battlefield a little bit easier. So for this chap, we're going to do it on his pouches, on his kind of knapsack on the back, and yeah, it's really good for hats and bits like that. We're also going to use just Pallid Bone for the kind of cowl and his hood around his head, and for his gloves too. Once again, if you saw my Winter Soldier video, Pallid Bone, neutrals, greys, browns, tans, any of these colours from Army Painter speed paints are absolute heroes to have in your arsenal. I almost zenithal everything I paint. If it's infantry, chances are it's zenithal with that black and white prime. Having these neutral colours from speed paint means I've got anything for bootstraps, pouches, bandoliers, any random bit of ancillary clothing that just needs to be a colour can just be shut down with a grey or a black or a tan or a brown. And again, any of these colours are handy to have in your arsenal. If you want Citadel equivalents, you've got their Gorgrunter Fur, Snakebite Leather, Skeleton Horde, Wildwood, Cygor Brown. Any neutral colour speed paint, I think everybody should have in their arsenal for these odd bootstraps and bits like that. There's no sense overthinking it and thinking I'm going to do a unifying colour across all these bootstraps with a shade and a highlight. I ain't got time for that. I've got shit to paint. So being able to just chuck down a speed paint on these bits makes life infinitely easier and means you don't spend too much time with like crippling indecision on what you're going to paint these colours and these various random little items with. Again, compromise between completion and perfection. We just want to focus on completion. Up next, we've got some Crusader skin to the shock and awe of none. This is just going to be on the face. I do all of my winter bolt action with gloves on because they're going to want the gloves on, otherwise the fingers are going to fall off. Very little finesse to this, just paint it on his skin. You can do a couple of layers of this to kind of warm the skin up. And then if you want to add a little bit more, you can go with some acrylics to do some dot highlights on his nose and chin. Brownish Decay, and we're going to use this to paint the strap of his little gun there, his MP40 if I'm not mistaken. So again, we're going to try and be delicate going over that white, just to try and keep this on the strap. If we do spill over and get some on our white, there's heaps of white and off-greys out there you can use. I think the closest I've got to this is Glacier Blue from Game Colour. But whatever acrylic of your choosing, whatever company or brand you prefer to use, there'll be an equivalent. If you have any questions about porting over brands, drop a comment and I'll tell you what the alternatives are. Ruddy Fur and Burnt Moss. These are what we're going to do for the camouflage pattern on the bits we did the pallid bone earlier. So we're going to do random little patterns. We want to try and mix it up to be a third, a third, a third. So a third bone, a third green, a third brown. And just ensuring that we keep them separate and enabling that we don't have our colours bleed. We're just going to do random little splodges with the green first, then the fur. Whatever order you prefer to do it, it is entirely up to you. This is a really super simple, effective way to get that kind of German camouflage down. And it looks absolutely mega when it's done. You can do this on big bits of texture like his jacket or his trousers. You can do it on little bits like I'm doing on these pouches or maybe on his cap. Regardless, have some fun with this. It's a really, really nice way to add that fun splash of colour while also being iconically German World War II. And because we're going straight over that pallid bone, and because of how pale it is, we don't need to stress too much about tidying up or going over with a colour. Because the darkness of these colours will lend themselves to the brightness of the pallid bone, they'll settle in there beautifully and give us that really nice, iconic, tricoloured German camouflage. You'll see this on a lot of German tanks, and it's just like so iconic, I adore it. Gun Metal from War Paints Fanatics. One of the only non-speed paints we're going to use on this project, and this I'm literally just going to do his MP40, and then I think the badge on his cap. If there's any buttons or extra bits, or maybe there's canteens or bayonets you want to paint with this, crack on and go mad. I prefer to use this as opposed to the speed paint metallics purely because the flow in the speed paint metallics is very, very high. It's very easy to lose control and it to go in those areas we don't want to make metallic, and it would really, really hurt me to get to this stage and then have to start doing a load of tidying up and trying to colour match those speed paints. So for the purposes of control and a nicer, easier, quicker finish, just use some acrylic metallics here for yourself. You can use Pro Acryl Dark Silver, Lead Belcher from Citadel, whatever your personal brand of choice is. I personally really, really like these metallics from Army Painter. I think they are le fantastique. So for his badge, nice deep breaths, hold the model upside down so you can see more of the pin, and just do a gentle few tickles with that. Bish, bash, bosh, we don't need to do anything else to that. Gravelord Grey, which is what I use to wash the metallic elements of the model, which evidently I didn't film because I'm a dickhead. But we thin this down with a touch of water and apply it over the metallics, and it looks absolutely wicked. Much better than non-oil, which is really, really glossy. Right, thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. This is the second video of 3 in my Bolt Action series for February's monthly muster. I painted well over 100 infantry and about 30 odd tanks, and it was a really, really fun way for me to reignite my love of Bolt Action. I've played a few third-ed games recently, and it is such a fun game. If you've not tried it, go to your local game store and ask for a demo game. Pop and see the guys at Warlord Games, send them my love because they're all great, and enjoy yourselves. Try something that is in Games Workshop and I guarantee you'll fall in love with it. And painting is an absolute joy, as I hope these videos has shown you guys. Thank you for watching again. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Cringy social media bullshit I can't stand. There's my Facebook page, my Instagram, my Patreon would be enormously helpful if you want to sign up for that and help me be able to do what I'm doing now for the foreseeable. Peace!